Hello, this is the panel at DublinBIC. Today is Tuesday, the 14th of April. We're into, I think, the fourth week of the lockdown here in Ireland. And today I am talking to Devan Hughes, the founder and CEO of Buymie. Many of you will know Buymie, and many more of you will know Buymie just in the last few weeks. But Devan, if we could begin by asking you to introduce the business to us, please.
Sure. So thanks for having us on, Martin. In a nutshell, Buymie is a free-to-download app across iOS and Android, which allows users to order grocery and household items from large retail partners like Tesco and Lidl today, and have their items delivered store-to-door, usually in as little as an hour, by their very own personal shopper, although our delivery slots these days are in high demand. So it may be a couple of days before you get a slot.
I can well appreciate that you are in high demand. Just very briefly, the history of the business. How long have you been around?
So I started working on this company in 2014. I spent about a year and a half doing the research, the due diligence, the market knowledge, and the MVP building with my team, and then we officially launched the Buymie service into the market in February 2016. So we've been operational in the market for about 4 years now.
Okay, and obviously you are one of the very few commercial businesses that is allowed to continue working. In fact, you're judged to be an essential service now. Can you give us some idea of what the last 4 weeks have been like?
Unforgettable is probably the term I'd use, and it's probably the term I'll continue to use into the foreseeable future, because I think, not just for Buymie, but I think, as a global community, a community of entrepreneurs, as just professionals, I don't think this period is going to be lost on in our minds for a very long period of time. I think we've been in a very unique position in the sense that we saw the market moving probably 2 or 3 weeks before I think the rest of the world did. You see consumer behavior in grocery data before you see it in any other data set. It's the most high frequency consumer data set you can have access to. And we started to see the panic in the market, really, I would say probably the back end of February, mid to end of February, before the official lockdowns came in early March.
I've seen the CEO of Walmart in the US has described this week as the hair color panic week of the lockdown. That is, it's moved on from the toilet rolls to hair coloring, apparently, in the States. Can you tell us the insights that you've garnered in regard to consumer behavior?
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I haven't spent much of my time looking at the specific products, but what we have seen is a significant increase in demand, and that's, at the high level, that's what we've seen. We've seen strong increase in basket sizes, and I think that's indicative of the fact that the restaurants and services market and hospitality sectors have seen such a strong impact from this crisis. All of that spend ultimately is flowing into the grocery sector, as people continue to need to feed themselves for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So there's definitely been a sharp increase in demand. We've watched as the supply chain, when the first initial closures happened, supply chain was a little caught off guard, and there was a certain bulk buying trend pattern that emerged in people, that initial panic in the first week. But we were able to see very quickly that the supply chain was fully operational, well able to scale. I was in great shape, and within a matter of weeks, it was back to normal. So I think that's been a really interesting trend to see as an overall. And yeah, I can't quite explain it myself as to why people are hoarding toilet paper. We've obviously seen an increase in those types of products, as well as things like hand sanitizer, etc. But yeah, I can't quite put my finger on why toilet paper is the be all and end all.
So, obviously lots of businesses are experiencing very new things for the first time. With many businesses, it involves running out of cash. It involves having to lay off people temporarily or indeed permanently. It's going to be an existential crisis for many businesses. But for Buymie, it's very different. Can you tell us about the kind of challenges that you're facing in the last 4 weeks?
I would say, if I was to sum it up, it's how best can we rise to the occasion? because, you know, I think a lot of the work that myself and the team did in last year, and last year for us was really about scale. You know, we went from being a relatively unknown business, very, very small team, to launching a flagship partner with the largest grocer in Europe, bringing the discount channel online for the first time with Lidl in Europe. And, you know, we saw tremendous growth throughout 2019. We grew 2,000% weekly volume. Our weekly volume grew 2,000% throughout the year. Already at the start of 2020, we were growing 18% week on week. So we were already in a very steep growth curve, but this was like throwing an accelerant on a bonfire in March. You know, Buymie became the #1 food app in Ireland, ahead of Just Eat, Deliveroo, and Uber Eats, these international billion-dollar companies, because just the market shifted on its axis so quickly. So, you know, for us, it's been about making sure that the infrastructure is stable, first and foremost, making sure that our service stays stable, engaging with our shopper community, because they are, you know, the most important stakeholder in our platform. So making sure that they're fully briefed on, you know, what's happening within the market, make sure that we provide them with as much support as we can, and that they're taking the appropriate measures to protect themselves and their customers as they provide the service. And I think, you know, yeah, I would say the work that we did last year in prepping for that scale has taken on a somewhat of a higher meaning for myself and the team. And we certainly feel like we're providing an essential service, as you said. And it is, I have to say, it's I would say it's never, you know, not only is it our business, it's our core business, what we're doing today, but also it's also just the right thing to do. And it's not so often that, you know, the moral thing and the good business thing are so heavily correlated. And we feel quite fortunate.
Yep. Every business needs a reason to exist other than making a profit. And I've absolutely no doubt that if you had any doubts about what that was for Buymie before, you certainly don't have now. Just in very practical matters, are you looking to recruit many more shoppers?
Yeah, so we are actively recruiting shoppers at the moment. You know, we actually formally put a proposal. So the day that the closed schools were closed, we saw an absolute spike in surge in demand, and we knew very quickly that the market was starting to panic. You know, from a grocery and food supply standpoint, and we within 3 days issued a white paper to the government with a proposal that if they were to step in and provide some support, we could onboard upwards of 2,000 shoppers across 7 major urban and suburban zones within a 12-week period. You know, we can scale as fast as we can get access to the, you know, growth capital required to put the infrastructures in place. Scale is not the issue. We don't need vans, we don't need warehouses. And what's become very apparent across Ireland and the UK is that the traditional you know, next day delivery, brick and mortar online services are not in a position to rise to the occasion on this instance. You know, their level of capacity and the speed at which they can add capacity is curtailed naturally by the models that they are, whereas we have the technology and infrastructure to connect thousands of stakeholders across many different retailers and expand not only an essential service but also put a huge amount of people back to work. So I think, you know, recruitment and expansion is definitely at the forefront. And right now, I've spent the last 3 weeks trying to find access to both public and private funding to be able to do that.
Interesting. I will come back to the funding in a second, but I have to ask, did you manage to get a response from the government on your proposal?
So we've had really strong support, you know, from Enterprise Ireland. The government is a large shareholder by me, quite uniquely. So they actually have quite a large equity stake within the business already, and so that's, I think, unique in and of itself. So we already have a strong relationship through Enterprise Ireland with the Irish government, and they've been really strong supporters of our business since we launched in 2016. You know, we came through the competitive startup fund program. You know, we then later were, you know, got access to feasibility grants and then on to match funding, which Enterprise Ireland has invested twice to us through the HBSU fund. So we have a good relationship. We've definitely had engagement back, but I would say nothing in the form of a formal response as of yet.
Very good. So you mentioned investment there. How has this changed your whole aspiration set and the trajectory that you'd like to achieve for Buymie in the next 12 months?
So stability is the cornerstone. You know, making sure that we scale, but, you know, scale in a stable way, I think is very important. I think the change in the market we've definitely been a beneficiary of it, as the grocery industry as a whole has been. And I think we are certainly in a position to move faster than we were initially anticipating. You know, a very well-known industry global executive called Keith Weed, who was the former CMO for Unilever, was quoted last week having said that roughly 15 years worth of you know, first-time online grocery users have essentially tried online grocery in the last 4 weeks, or at least tried to get access to online grocery in the last 4 weeks. And so fundamentally, there's been an unprecedented acceleration of the consumer market into this channel. And I think it will change the landscape for grocery. It'll certainly transform the landscape of online grocery. And I suppose we've had to adapt a more aggressive growth strategy to fall in line with that market demand. And ultimately, it's about getting the right funding partners, the right retail partners to be a part of that journey.
If you can tell me without having to kill me, will that also involve moving out of the island of Ireland sooner than you previously planned?
Yes, it will. So we had international expansion on our roadmap for this year, but we have looked at moving earlier than initially anticipated, mainly because we feel like it's the right thing to do for the business, and it's also the right thing to do for the market. Is that, you know, the more you can get access to the service and the more you can increase capacity across other markets, the better it is for all parties, everyone concerned.
Very good. In the work that myself and my colleagues do in DublinBIC, we know that one of the key criteria for success in a business is timing. And clearly, this is something that, in regard to which you're either a genius or very lucky. Would you like to comment?
I think there's a great quote out there that says that success is a mix of perspiration and luck, something along those lines. I'm probably butchering it. You know, we've been at this for 4 years. What I've seen is, in the last 4 weeks, a flurry of people trying to get into the grocery delivery space. You know, we spotted a dysfunction in the market in 2014, a very clear dysfunction. The online grocery market across Ireland and the UK was £9 billion. That was the total spend in this channel, and it was losing £300 million a year in aggregate. That was the subsidization of all the retailers combined. That's how much they were burning every year to subsidize the online channel. When I looked at the long-term demand curve for online grocery, it was going to, without COVID, it was going to double to 20 billion in just 10 years. And, you know, any free market economist will tell you that if you have a rapidly expanding market in a very tight window of time with heavily compounding losses, the free market just won't tolerate that level of inefficiency, and a better mousetrap will emerge, because that's the way our markets operate. They constantly seek greater efficiency, and, you know, we saw that as a very clear indicator that this market was going to experience disruption at quite a significant level in the not too distant future. Now, COVID is a black swan event. It could not have been predicted, and we certainly did not see it coming. And I would say it is in that instance, it's a right place, right time, right product, and I would like to think right team. And that's something that you can't bet against. But, you know, there's no question the same day grocery market has been growing exponentially for the last 18 months. You know, we've been in the market for 4 years, but the last 18 months has been a tremendous growth period for this channel, and this is just an exponential accelerant. But the market was already heading this way anyway.
Okay, well, I think there's another quote about luck being the convergence of preparation and opportunity, and you certainly had put in the hard yards on the preparation, so you certainly deserve to benefit from this. Or if it hadn't not been this, it would have been some other opportunity that would have come up that you would have been ready for. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Devan, my last question to you: is Buymie still in a position to take on more consumers signing up to their platform?
Yeah, so we are actively seeing new customers place orders on the system. I mean, naturally there is a massive demand, and, you know, there's not only a mix of new users who have never tried the service trying to get access, but existing users. And for us as a business, that's a very challenging environment to be in. You know, how do you create the right level of prioritization without starving the business of resource and all the rest that goes with it. So, you know, naturally we are seeing new customers place orders on the platform, and our goal is to try and make sure that we add capacity as quickly as possible to the network. But, you know, in the short term, that's that's something that you have to adapt a funding strategy to be able to change your business plan to. And yeah, it's trying to understand what's the best way forward for us to do that in a scalable way. And that there's a few, we're 3 weeks into this, really deep end of this experience and understanding what it means for the business, what it means for the industry. So we're still working through those challenges, to be very honest.
Very good. Okay, Devan Hughes, founder and CEO of Buymie. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I know you're nobody is busier than yourself at this time, so I won't take any more of your time. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin. It was a pleasure.